I call the member for Holt.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I wish to commend the motion raised by the member for Berowra that condemns the government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, otherwise known as North Korea, for ongoing testing of illegal nuclear and ballistic missiles programs, including the intercontinental ballistic missile tests in June and July 2017. I'm also deeply concerned by reports from the US intelligence analysts that have assessed that North Korea has produced a miniaturised nuclear warhead that could fit inside a ballistic missile, and that last week was threatening to strike the US bases at Guam. The threat posed by North Korea and its supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, is one of the gravest security challenges facing Australia, in my view, and something that we should be talking about in this place. However, we must proceed with caution to ensure, as much as we can, that we maintain peace and stability and security in the Asia-Pacific region. I welcome the UN Security Council imposing new sanctions on North Korea, which was supported, importantly, by Russia and China for carrying out intercontinental ballistic missile tests on the 3rd of July and the 28th of July 2017. I also welcome UN Resolution 2371 that targets North Korea's primary exports, including coal, iron ore, lead ore and seafood. Also, according to Richard Roth's CNN report, the sanctions also target other revenue streams such as banks and joint ventures with foreign companies. The sanctions will slash North Korea's annual export revenue of $3 billion by more than a third, according to a statement from the office of Nikki Haley, the US Ambassador to the United Nations. UN Resolution 2371 not only imposes the strongest sanctions ever imposed in response to a ballistic missile test, but also calls on North Korea to cease any further missile launches, nuclear tests or any act of provocation. It is vital in the coming weeks, if it can be done, to de-escalate tensions and stop the war of words, and would urge North Korea to return to diplomatic talks. It's been unfortunate that since 2009, six-party talks between Japan, South Korea, Russia, China, the US and North Korea have been suspended. However, when in his new annual New Year's address in January 2017, the North Korean leader declared his country to be in the final stage of preparation for a test launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile, and North Korea has carried out these tests, it is imperative that some form of diplomatic talks are convened. Any diplomatic talks may be unable to force North Korea to give up its current stockpile of weapons in the short term. It would be important, I think, therefore, and we say in terms of political negotiations, that it's best to prepare for the worst but negotiate for the best possible outcome. And I think, in just extemporising a bit about what is occurring at this situation, it is imperative that the political class maintains, in light of somewhat provocative language used by what I categorise as a very reckless leader of North Korea, that we maintain an appropriate posture in dealing with these very bellicose threats issued by the particular leader. And I particularly welcome a contribution made by someone that I know, John McLaughlin, who was the former Deputy Director of the Central Intelligence Agency between 2001 and 2004, and also Acting Director of the Intelligence Agency in 2004. And he points out, in this period of escalating crisis, he refers on his social media to a conversation that occurred at the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis between John Kennedy, the President John F. Kennedy, Vice President Lyndon Johnson and Pierre Salinger. And in that discussion, President Kennedy is urging restraint in the use of language about what actions would be taken, and seeking to clarify what Lyndon Johnson had said, because Lyndon Johnson had basically intimated that there would be direct military action taken against Cuba. I think we could do, in a general sense, in any utterances made with that sort of discipline and rigour that was applied by President Kennedy, whilst preparing for the worst, we must negotiate for the best. Now, that actually implies, I think, some significant challenges for Australia in terms of its future defence should North Korea not comply with the UN sanctions and UN directives. But at this stage, I think, Deputy Speaker, cool heads should prevail.
I thank the member for Holt.